Hey guys, it's Lori. Here with a voice in the dark, voice in the sun with Lori. I'm changing it to a voice in the sun. Unity is our power. Welcome along for the ride. Um, I do not consent. That's all to the elite powers that are out there. In the bigger scope of things, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think in the bigger scope of things, we need to step back and look and see how many people are doing the right thing, not the wrong things. Let's look at how many people are doing the right things. The camaraderie in the community, that we're coming together in unity. Different colors, different backgrounds, cultures, religions, women, men alike. And we're coming together to say, no, we've had enough, and we do not consent. And I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I wish it was something we might have done in Germany when Hitler did this, but I believe that with us doing it here, and they're doing it all over the world, a lot of countries are, that what it's stating is, no, we're not putting up with that kind of stuff anymore. We're not putting up with the hate. There's no room for hate anymore. There's no room for crime anymore. And I don't care if it's crime from the elite, powerful, 1%, 3%, or anyone. And I think it's time that they start paying the price just like we do for our crimes. They always pardon each other. They always let each other off the hook. So, let's make the law stick for everyone. I think that's what we're learning in this time scheme. And but overall, the biggest part, I think, is seeing people standing up and making a difference. People that are helping others. People who are putting their arms down, their guns down, and saying, no, we're not doing this anymore, and helping people rebuild. What is a handful of minerals to be beaten up by a war, all because of some minerals? Well, it's their country. They're their minerals. When does another country have the right to just go after another country for their minerals or anything that they have? We all know how that works out. It doesn't. I just think that, we're starting to draw a very clear line of what's acceptable and what isn't. And all things said and done, we're finding out what our Constitution means, what our laws mean, and how they protect us against this kind of crap. And how to change a few things now so that it never happens again. Without it being a dictatorship, without it being authoritarian. I love democracy and what it stands for. And that's for the greater good of all, not just some. And when the all are doing better than the little ones at the bottom, then you help those who have less. You just help. It's not about taking care of them and giving them what you got. But if you appreciate what you got, you always send out a little to help somebody else. That's the way it works. It's the way it works best. Everybody pitches in a little bit, which is through our taxes. And people don't have to, drown. We already have the strongest country. And we've already proven in World War I and II that we can turn the country around and all the women can go to work and build the bombs and build the planes and do this and do that while the men go to war. It doesn't take us very long at all to turn the country into a fighting machine and a support machine. So worried about having more money go towards the war machine is stupid. We need to keep it steady now so we can take care of the people that have already done the war for us, that have already won or lost, whatever. But the men and women, the veterans, that's who we need to worry about now. And the elderly and the retired people, they did their time. You know, we all did our time, and it's time that the young people understood that. And understood that, yes, you're going to pay taxes, and yes, you're going to pay into Social Security, because eventually you're going to have your time done. And you're going to know that you deserve it. You deserve your retirement years. So, and what we've learned is, yes, there is thieving. There are cheaters in the system. There always is. And we have auditors that look after that kind of crap, and then they go after it. But there is no true thieving and stealing unless you see somebody that's actually getting charged, criminal charges. And we haven't seen that yet. So, we'll see. But the bigger scheme of things is that we're coming together as a people. It might not always be with the ones who are standing in line with their pieces and stuff, you know, their signs. And it might not be the ones that are, you know, walking 100 miles to prove a point, or I'm talking about the simple things that are going on. Family and friends who don't want to be segregated and separated and bad and negative towards each other because they have a difference in opinion. Is there prejudice in the world? Yes. Do you think it'll all go away overnight? No. But I think there's a lot less in the world now. But you're seeing people really struggling with, should we still be friends, even though we're so different? Well, maybe that's where the secret is. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that's the whole key to the whole world, is that accepting each other's differences is what democracy's all about. That's why the Constitution's written the way it is, and the Bill of Rights. And the way it's set up is so that you can have a different opinion and I can have a different opinion, and we don't have to hate each other. That goes for anyone in this country. Once they're in the country, they have to go by our laws. And, you know, they're good laws. They're laws set up to be fair and just. No criminal activity will go without being handled correctly. But it'll also be a tough judgment at the end of it if you're found guilty. It's okay to be of a different race, culture, religion. This country was built for religious freedom, because in Europe, we weren't allowed that. It's, you go by the crown, the king, you know, and you go by the Roman Catholic Church. Woohoo! Anyway, I have my opinions. I'll keep them to myself. But the whole point is that we're all different. But this country was built with multiple races. They're not races. We're all, the race is the human race. Multiple cultures. I've got Irish and Scottish in my blood, and I've got French and Welsh and Native American. I'm proud of all of them. And so I'm a Heinz 57. We all are. If you check your bloodlines, and, you know, they go all the way back to Africa and Egypt, and, you know, we've all got black blood. We've all got this blood. We got, what do you call it, Arab blood. We all have all of it. There is no I don't think there's any of us that don't have something of everything. So give it up. That's just a different color suit. You know, it's like wearing a different colored suit or a different colored hat. Yes, we have criminals. Yes, they have to be treated like criminals. But that's not the whole of any group or society or culture. That's just a part of their culture. Shit, they keep going on about this. Whites don't do this. Whites don't do that. And I'm thinking, are you fucking stupid? I have worked in the field where I have to drive all over to all kinds of lower income communities. Black or white or Hispanic, it doesn't matter. And there is violence, and a lot more violence and threats by the white poor men than there is from the blacks when I go into a black community. So, no, you got that all wrong. We just get inundated with separation and division by the news media and by the stupid propaganda crap that the politicians use that is already turning around and biting them in the ass now. So anyway, what I'm seeing is that we're rising above within our own small groups. So let's look at that, cherish that, and see if we can't rise above a little further, a little broader, expand our awareness and compassion and understanding a little bigger and a little broader. You know, when we help people in the United States, there's a yearly budget. We know it. Some things are fixed, so we cover that. And then there's extra money. Now we've taken care of the military. We've taken care of the current Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP benefit programs that we are aware of because they're already registered and everything. And then we set aside a little bit of portion for any growth in those areas. Because it's natural. It happens. It goes up and down all the time. And then we have the military. Oh my gosh. We could go on about that forever. But we have a strong military. And we have to worry about our veterans. And then anything left over, some gets associated to the arts. And yes, there's going to be weird grants out there. There just are weird people out there, okay? And don't worry about it. It's just one small grant, you know. There's other grants going out. Why don't you look at those too? And you can get upset about one or two things, but really, we're going to get upset about one or two things, you know, annually that, you know, come up but they fit the criteria. So it may sound weird and it may be groupy and, you know, maybe it's not even a valid science project to us. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense to us. But maybe it does to somebody else in the future. Who knows? But I don't think it's where we need to get all upset in our titties and our panties in an uproar. I just don't. You got to be able to see the bigger picture and go broader. So if you can see where we're trying to save our own personal relationships with each other, then maybe we can start seeing a little bigger picture of trying to see where everybody's coming from. But we all have to do it. You can't just be some of us. We all have to do it. And the reason that we're allowed to have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom to be us is all because of that Constitution and that Bill of Rights. And if you don't understand those, you need to read them and learn them really good. And understand that this is how we do things. It's a cooperation for all people. We think of everyone. And we always give those tax breaks to those guys. They know it. They're just wanting more and more and more. But that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for. And they need to pay their share. Just across the board. a simple share. Some people think 3%, some people think 5%, but we all pay 47%. So what is fair? I think 15% is fair across the board, but, that's me. But they need to pay their share. They don't trickle down anything. They haven't trickled down shit. They keep taking and taking and taking. Most of the grant money that was meant for small businesses to help them during the COVID thing went to big restaurants, big bars, big places that didn't need it. Not like the little guys. The little guys didn't even hardly know about it, if at all. So if you're going to look at the big picture, look at it openly and honestly. Yes, there are problems. There's always going to be problems, but they get addressed. And I want everybody to think about this, on both sides, It's not supposed to be two different sides, by the way. It's supposed to be two sides with their needs and constituents who have different things that they'd like to see. And then you bring it together because you're working for the greater good of all, for the whole country. It's just bringing ideas together. You can't just bring all your ideas together to one party because they'd get lost in the transition. Or, you know what I mean. So anyway, what I'm thinking is that it's pretty simple, actually. Can people steal? Yeah, it's kind of hard, but they do. And you got to find them, and then you prosecute them, and you get it straightened out. That's how you do it in business. That's how you do it anywhere. Should we allow one big company to own the world and control all the food and everything? No. As a matter of fact, food should still be mostly created locally for the people. And we should be supporting our farmers. And we should be looking to find ways that we can help them and help ourselves, help our communities. Starting a big community warehouse that's made just for growing vegetables, maybe, fruit and vegetables. That kind of thing. And there are numerous things that are very questionable with the New World Order and the tyranny that wants to try to take over the government here, but it won't work. But there's a lot of things we can do different to make it work better. And what everybody's feeling is the crush of no paying jobs because, granted, well, hang on a minute, I got off track for a second. What I was trying to get to was, I want to know why the Democratic and the Republican parties didn't find all this crap out sooner, and why this wasn't addressed years ago, and how, if it's such a problem, how hasn't it been dealt with, and why? That's what needs to come out, because they're both guilty, both sides. There is no one side that's guilty. It's both sides. How did all this slip through the cracks before? Because that's what we need to address. Where are the cracks, and let's address them. We can't let everything go public, go corporate. It can't, because of one reason. We the people get screwed by corporations. That's why our government handles Medicare and Medicaid, and that's why our government handles food stamps and handles, that kind of help, and FEMA and everything else. So, because when they make it public, like they took the prison systems and made them corporate, citizen-owned, or, corporate-owned, no wonder we can't get anybody back out of the prisons that acts normal or acts better because they're treated like shit. So, and they keep them there longer. They stir the crap up with them because they want to keep them longer, because then we pay for it longer. It costs us more in the long run. Anytime they want to make it a corporate thing, it costs us in the long run. It costs us more, and we get less and less care, and any kind of positive care. So, anyway, there are things to think about, but it's still a positive when we see families and friends still trying to keep it together and still love each other and care about each other, even though we have differences of opinion on what's going on in the world, and especially in this country. So, God love you, and God love us all. And for the atheists, let the universe love us all. And don't forget to hug a tree this week, because when you hug a tree, you're releasing any negative energy into the tree will take it, and if you ask it nicely, just to transmute it into something good for the tree, and then, earth, that'll be good. And don't forget to slow down in daily life. Just slow down, and you never know when that person that you make eye contact with at the store might need your help, or need that look in your eye that says, hi, how you doing? And you wait until they respond, because some people are so used to feeling not seen, not held space for, and they're feeling lost in the traffic, so to speak, of people. Maybe they don't have anybody that helps them at home. Maybe they don't have anybody that helps support them or cheer them on or anything. And our older generation's really taking a hitting right now on that. So slow down. Make space to just simply smile and say hi and wait for the response. Because some of these people take a minute to realize that, wow, this person actually smiled at me and said hi, and then they get it, and you can see where it clicks, and then they smile and say hi back, and it touches their eyes. And I had one lady almost cry, and she said, thank you so much, all because I said hi to her and I meant it. And then I took more time to see what her situation was, and her situation was she had a husband who was with her, and he was about 3 times her size. She was tiny, and his dementia was really set in. He was more like a child, but a very big one. And you could tell she had no help, and she was scared to death to take up space, and felt outcasted. And then her vulnerability was she needed to take care of him and still try to shop at the same time. So I looked at her and I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to close this aisle down. Don't worry about it. I can handle the customers. You go ahead and shop by yourself. He's busy looking at the hair things. Don't worry about him. And I'll keep an eye on him too. So I'm closing down the aisle, and some of these big heifers coming at me, boy, and they're like, I need to get it. I said, no, this aisle's closed for about 15 minutes. You'll have to go to the other side of the store. And, they wanted to argue, but I just told them, I said, go. I'm pretty bossy when I'm doing something for somebody else. So, and so I commenced to go all the way down and close out the aisle. And I stood there, like a centaur, And her husband was fine. He was just playing with the hair things, And she looked at me and she said, thank you so much. I said, you are so welcome. And, they do have help if you call. And she said, I might do that. I said, it's okay if you do, because sometimes you need a break too. And she said, thank you. These people, they're older. They already feel like they aren't worthy to be in the world because everything's going so fast, and they're dealing with what they're dealing with, and they're scared. They're scared to ask for help. They don't want to, they're afraid to take up space, for God's sakes. No one taking breath should be afraid to take up space from any of us. So take some responsibility for slowing down and being a part of the change the world needs to see. And that's being kind and being compassionate and being a little more understanding that, you know what, our world is here because it came on their backs. Let us not forget the elderly, and let us not forget the children. They're innocent yet. So, I love you. Have a good night. Lori out.